Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I'm joined alongside my co-host, my partner in crime, Nate Green. Nate, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Jared. How about you?
I'm not doing too bad. Excited to talk a little bit of baseball, Angels baseball. Well, not Angels baseball, of course, but baseball. We will be talking baseball. Shohei Otani going
Yeah,
for
play
10
baseball.
and was it 10 and 10? First
Yes.
pitcher to do the first two-way to do that since the Babe himself, George Herman Ruth. What do you got? Do you think he's doing it as we're recording this during the A's Angels game? By the way, so is he doing it
Yeah.
tonight?
Yeah, I like his chances to do it tonight. Oakland struggling offensively. All the Angels really need to do is score a couple of runs, and it should be. Hopefully, the bullpen holds it down. But yeah, this should be the day he does it.
With that, you come up with a giant issue, and that is scoring runs. You need them to score runs. It has been few and far between since that monumental losing streak. Angels are now 1 in 20. I said 24. Somebody said 27. I'm going to stick with my gut there. 1 in 24 when they score one run or fewer. How about that for a stat?
That's not really that impressive of a stat, honestly. I mean, it,
I know. I
you
just
could look and everyone's probably just as bad in that. I mean, there are probably some teams that are a little better than that, but
I had to.
when you're 20 games under 500 or whatever it is now, like that's what you expect. You expect to be very bad in close games, and that's what it looks like. I mean, you take those 23 games difference and you give them wins in those games, they're in the playoff hunt.
You didn't hear. I don't think you heard the stat right. By the way, it's when they score one run or fewer.
Yes,
Yeah. So they.
they
So
don't score that many runs.
I know. Sorry, I had to throw it out there. I had to throw it out there.
But I'm
So
just saying, like it's not really, yeah,
I,
it's
I
whatever.
know
But
I was messing around with it on Twitter and everybody got all upset. They're like, no shit. It was like, come on, like one runner fewer they've scored in 25 games. Come on, like
that's a lot to
that's a
score.
lot of games that
That's
they
a lot of
scored
games to only score one
one
run.
or zero runs. Like
Especially when everyone was saying that this offense was going to be a top three offense in baseball, not just in the American League, in baseball. So yes, that is a crazy stat.
yeah. So and then actually, let's flip the script here a little bit. I think they have 13 shutouts this year.
Yes,
Only
that
to
is
only like
the
that's
Yankees. I think are the only
crazy.
other team.
Yankees and Mets, I think it
Yeah,
was
and
that
the
had
Mets have the
14.
stupidest.
I think they all had 14, or the Angels have 13 plus
Yeah, I think the
something like that. So
Yankees had 14 and the Mets had 14. The Angels had
that's
13. But I mean, the Mets staff is absolutely ridiculous. They just got Jacob DeGrom back. Max Scherzer, has yet to be underpaid in his career. So there's something for that. And yeah, it's just unbelievable when you look at those teams. The Mets, anytime they need a big outing from someone, they get it, and that must be nice to have. And the Yankees, they've had some surprises this year. I mean, Nestor Cortez has been really good. Jordan Montgomery before the trade was good for good enough. Obviously, they have Garrett Cole and Jamison Tyon's been doing his thing. So yeah, very impressive. Very impressive for both from all those teams.
yeah, it's I just that's super interesting. The Angels lead the or almost lead the league. They're second, third, I guess, technically in the league in shutouts as a pitching staff and have scored one run or fewer in you know 25 plus games, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, super interesting. Just wanted to throw some fun stuff out there for you. So, and don't forget, you mentioned also that the Mets have a crazy good starting rotation. Don't you dare forget about the combination of Reed Detmers and Jose Suarez. I'm not even gonna let you finish. So, guys, as always, just want to thank you for watching and listening to this podcast here at Talking Halos. I know I had to throw in a little Jose Suarez there for you. You're welcome. Um,
Big
uh,
deal. He beat a double A lineup. Congrats.
we'll talk about that shortly, by
Oh
the
my
way. If you want to
god.
talk about beating double A lineups, we'll get there shortly.
Yes.
Um, we really will. Just want to thank you all so much for listening to and watching this podcast here at Talking Halos. If you're over on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe. If you are listening, go ahead and drop a review. If you're on YouTube as well, drop something in the comments. Let us know how you like it, whether it's good or bad. You can follow us on all of our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just look up Talking Halos. You can follow myself on Twitter at Jared_Tims, Nate on Twitter at NateGreen34. And before we get to promotions, because we have to pay the bills. Go ahead, and if you guys are wondering here, yep, this is the Trout. I think it's the NFT hat is what they call it, by Official League and MLB Paint. I could be wrong. Thank you, Official League, for that. If you want to know what it looks like, just jump onto YouTube real quick and go to this time, and you can see it. But go get this hat. It's pretty sweet. They sent it my way. Absolutely love it. Going to wear this a lot more often. So thank you, Official League, for that. And guys, give us 1 minute to pay the bills. If you're watching us on YouTube, let's go ahead and keep this rolling. So Nate, we mentioned it already that Jose Suarez shut out a AA team, right? You mentioned that. It's fine. I give it to you. I give it to you. Now, the question that starts in everybody's mind is, can the Rocket City Trash Pandas, who are, hold on, let me get my stats here for you. Can the Rocket City Trash Pandas beat the Anaheim Angels right now?
The Angels. Wow.
And before, like I said, before we get going there, the Angels have the Rocket City Trash Pandas have 9 of my top 11 prospects in the Angels system right now, with some 1 or 2 that have some MLB experience in there as well, and Chase Silseth, and I possibly a couple other guys in there. I know Aaron Whitefield is out for the year there. They just brought up Zach Neto as well, the first rounder. He's going to be working out in AA. Rocket City is 59-44 right now. The Angels are 47-63 at the moment as we're recording this. It could be 48. I don't know, but it brings up a valid question. Do you think the Trash Pandas, could beat the Angels?
I think that there would be a very good chance. I mean, baseball is one of those games where anyone can beat anyone on any given day. I mean, that's why you see, the Yankees losing games, even though when they play, the Pirates or whoever you want to fill in the blank with worst team. But yeah, I think they definitely would have a shot if Kai Bush is starting and maybe using Sam Bachman out of the bullpen and just really using their best guys to win the game. I like if it's a one win, like win or go home, one game. I think the Pandas have a shot to win the game because they would do everything they possibly could. They would have Bachman available. They'd have Bush available, Silseth available. If they really wanted to. I mean, the Angels lineup right now there's no Mike Trout, there's no Anthony Rendon. Is Andrew Velasquez starting?
If we were to go, hang on. So if we were to go position for position right now, think about this. All right, the Trash Pandas, and I'm gonna probably get it, maybe 1 or 2 of these wrong. You go Ohapi,
Stassi,
first base, Ohapi or Stassi. That's a valid question.
It's very close.
Right?
It's very close.
You go to first base and it's Walsh, or for the sake of being, for the sake of it, I'm not going to say Maitan. I'm going to actually say Sonny DeChara.
Yeah.
And who you picking?
DeChara wins that one.
Because and here's this as well, by the way. The Trash Pandas are starting a lefty. Right? You're starting Bush, lefty against Walsh, which Walsh can't hit lefties very well. You go to second base and it's probably Levon Soto, or it's either it's Levon Soto at second base, or who do we say, David Fletcher, Luis Renifo right now.
Yeah, Renifo.
Let's say Renifo. So I take Renifo over Soto. And by the way, I think Levon Soto, for those who are wondering, is a better hitting Andrew Velasquez. Who, speaking of that, at shortstop, you're taking Zach Neto or Andrew Velasquez, or should we say David Fletcher? Say Fletcher because you're putting out the best lineup, right? Because you can't start Velasquez. So Zach Neto or David Fletcher? Who? Zach Neto or David Fletcher?
I'll take Fletcher.
I
know you're not a big Fletcher guy, but I mean, I don't think Neto is ready for big league pitching. I think if you were to put a guy out there, like a legitimate starter out there, like a Patrick Sandoval or Reed Detmers, like if you're putting one of the best pitchers the Angels have out there, that's going to be tough for Neto. It's going to take him some time to adjust.
Just go change up away. So if it's Sandoval, I agree. If it's Detmers throwing the slider and curveball in, I think Neto would hop on one. Besides the point, you go to third base, and I'm taking Jeremiah Jackson over any third baseman at the moment, right? Yeah. Phil Gosselin,
Jose Rojas, whatever the heck you put out there. Yeah.
You're taking Jeremiah Jackson?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the outfield. This is where the Angels are probably going to be a little bit better. I think we take Joe Adell in left over Jordan. Let's for the sake of it,
just put Jordan Adams because they're the same player.
Very similar. Yeah, but I'll take Joe
Just
Adell at the moment. I'll take Joe Adell,
yes,
major league
yes, I
experience.
agree.
You go to center field, and it's who's playing center for the Angels right now? Taylor Ward,
Steven Duggar.
Steven Duggard, or so again, this is where it kind of gets interesting. Are you taking Steven Duggard or Bryce Teodosio? Teodosio is an undrafted free agent, by the way.
Yeah, Duggar probably wins
Probably
that
Duggard.
barely, but
And then
it's
you go to
very,
right
very
field and it's
close.
Taylor Ward over probably anybody in a sense. And then, well, and we also forgot they're probably starting, the Angels are starting Shohei Otani, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, and Shohei Otani's DHing, so Maetan's DHing. I think it would be an interesting game.
That would be a really good game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Which is
sad.
sad. Exactly. Which is sad, but kind of interesting to say the least. So, with that being said, I mentioned it before. Zach Neto got promoted to Double A after a small
7
sample
games.
size, 7 games in Tri City. We'll get to why we think this happened, but how do we feel about Zach Neto getting promoted?
So I'm excited for him. I think that he definitely needs to be with the rest of the guys. I think that Perry's really trying to get everyone in Double A to get used to a playoff run first of all, which that's not going to happen anywhere else from the looks of it. So Perry's going to really put the core together in Double A and say, okay, this is what it looks like to be part of a pennant race. This is what it looks like to be in a playoff game. This is what it looks like to face somebody's best every single night. And I think it makes sense for everyone. You see Sonny DeCharles already there, Jeremiah Jackson's there, Neto's there now, Ohapi's there. Like
A
a
plethora
lot
of
of the
pitchers, a plethora of relievers.
yeah. So and when those guys get into the playoffs, they're going to be facing guys that are very close to big league experience if they don't have big league experience already. For the Kai Bush, the Sam Bachman, the Chase Silseth, whoever it is, fill in the blank. But yeah, I think this is part of the growing experience for them. They really need to learn how to win, and they need to learn how to play in these big games. And that's something I talked about with the Orioles too. When me and you talked off the air, is like the Baltimore Orioles are learning how to win. They're learning what it's like to be in a playoff race. So hopefully a year or two when they have a shot to be in this thing, they I mean they could end up in the playoffs this year, but if they don't, it's a big learning experience for these young kids who probably haven't seen a playoff like atmosphere like the one they're playing in right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that the Angels had been missing. And by the way, coming into today, the Angels as an organization were 306 and 303. This is the first time I've seen them over 500 in as an organization in quite some time. This is the first time multiple teams are over 500 for the first time. And I cannot stress it enough. And
Big
I've
thanks to the Trash Pandas, by the way, for that.
well, the ACL Angels, by the way, are I think almost 10 games over 500, and the DSL Angels are about 7. The Salt Lake is only like 3 games under. Inland Empire is 4 or 5 games over 500. I
Mm-hmm.
think we know what the Angels are. In Tri City, it's impossible to win there. So, um,
Everyone has to play there though, so somebody's got to win those games.
yes, that's fair. That's fair. But again, there's a reason why the Angels aren't throwing anybody really there on the hitting side of things, and pitchers are going to be able to pitch there. I think
Mm-hmm.
we talked to Connor. Well, I don't think we
Yeah,
did. We did.
yeah,
We
yeah. We
talked to
did.
Connor. We did. Connor Higgins, who's there right now, and he said in Tri City the ball goes nowhere. Like it's fun to pitch there. And you can imagine they play 60 something games there, 72 or something like that. I don't remember exactly how many it is. That's not fun to hit there. So it doesn't surprise me at all that Neto got a certain number of games in Tri
7.
City and 7, and then 4 or 6 of them, 5 of them. Well, it's technically 6 of them because I think he had a day off, but 5 of them were in Vancouver where you hit well. So, and he hit a home run there, he hit a triple there. And then they didn't let him go back basically, which is super interesting. By the way, Connor Higgins was Zach Neto's roommate,
Oh,
by
nice.
the way. So something to talk about, in the off season. So, but yeah, why the Angels don't send offense to Tri City is interesting,
I mean,
especially
they do, but not hopefully not for long periods of time. I mean, Jordan Adams was there for a little bit, Kyron Paris was there for a little bit, Zach Neto was there for a little bit. Um, Neto obviously being the least experienced guy at Tri City, but Paris and Adams spent close to 2 months there at least, right?
Well,
So
Bears is still there.
I thought he got sent down, but
He went back to
oh,
Tracy.
he okay
Um,
when Neto got okay,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah. So it's I'm surprised also that Kyron Paris isn't up in double A, but there is no room for him, so it makes sense. Um, I know that he's batting 190 or something, but the league average is 230, and I think he has an 90 WRC plus. So it's like you put him anywhere else, and I think that he's going to hit decently well. Um, at least be a 250 hitter some places with good speed. I think he has 20 stolen bases or something pretty close to that. So and 20 doubles as well.
I think
So
he's only been caught one or two times this year too, which is
yeah,
something very
yeah,
impressive
yeah. So
for a
it's
base stealer.
yeah, and I mentioned this today to somebody, and they were like, "Why are people sending him to Tri City?" You know, and I was like, "Well, you got to teach him how to fail." I think that's the main reason for Tri City at the moment is teaching some of these younger kids who have succeeded their entire careers how to fail. So if that's pitching, you know, you send them to AAA, right? You let them go fail in AAA because they've never failed before. If it's hitting, you go send them to A plus where they can just go and suck in a sense, in a nice way. They're not going to be good, but they learn how to fail there and they learn how to cope from failure because that's actually a big thing. Would you agree?
Absolutely, and I think that's one big thing that a lot of prospects don't get used to is the failure. I mean, this game is a game of failure. You're going to fail 7 out of 10 times, and you're still considered really good. So, for you to have a tough time with failing, it definitely dawns on you, and it makes it a lot harder to be successful. But that's one thing that guys, especially young kids, guys that come out of high school, typically those guys struggle with failure because they never fail in high school. They're the best player. They're hitting 500 plus typically if they're that good of a high school player. Some guys are hitting 700. I think Andrew Jones's kid hit close to 700 this year.
I hit
So
800 in double A.
yeah, there you go. So these guys don't really fail, and so they get into the minor leagues, and that's kind of the hardest thing for them to do. But once they learn how to fail, it makes everything a lot easier, because you are going to fail. You're going to have times in the big leagues where you're not going to hit every day. You're going to have times where you're 0 for 5, 0 for 10, 0 for 15, whatever. Maybe it's even 1 for 15 or 2 for 15, but still you're going to have those times, and you have two options. You can sit and sulk and continue down that rabbit hole of 0 for 15 or 2 for 15 turns into 2 for 20, 2 for 25, and you get sent down. Or you can go from 2 for 15 to, hey, I'm just 2 hits away from being right back where I need to be. And now all of a sudden you're 4 for 17, 5 for 18. It's like, oh, it's not as bad as you might have thought. So that is a big thing. I don't know if he was there long enough personally to really learn how to fail. I mean, you're only there for 7 days. You're not really having to cope with anything. It's really like, hey, even if he was having a tough time with failure, he's getting called up, and no matter who you are getting promoted to the next level, you're going to be excited. So it's tough to see where he was on that end of things, but so I don't even know if he really needed to be there.
I agree. I don't think he needed to. I don't know what the thought process was there. I don't know if we'll ever find out what the thought process was. I'll try to figure it out, but yeah, we'll kind of wait and see on that behalf. But yeah, and back to Rocket City, by the way. There's something special going on there. Like I haven't seen this happen before. I know the Angels farm system isn't great, but the fact that there are this many prospects there right now, it's interesting, right? Like you look at it, and I'd say at least 15 of my half of my top 30 is in Rocket City right now. Now, what is this? What is it like? I've been trying to figure it out. Like I said to myself, what does this mean for the Angels next year or the year after that? Like you don't have to you you've created depth. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
You're creating
You, you
depth,
got you got the 28th ranked farm system, 29th ranked farm system. Like no matter
creating
matter
depth.
what you're
You're
Define depth. I mean, they technically have depth right now. Andrew Velasquez is depth.
no, 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 no.
Andrew Velasquez is depth right now.
No,
So,
when you're reaching into triple A and don't have anybody to take, it's a little bit different than the depth that they're creating right now.
but we
Like
don't know if these guys are going to be anything.
you
Is
don't.
my point.
No,
So,
100%.
you technically haven't created depth yet. You are on the verge of creating depth. Sure, you've got guys who have potential to be depth pieces and maybe even better than depth pieces, but they haven't proven anything yet. St. Charles, what, 15 games in?
Can't
Zach
get
Neto's what,
can't get around in the
seven?
can't get around to the fastball. Neto pulls too much. There's a lot to work on there.
There's 7 games. Some of these guys are 10, 15 games into their minor league career. It's really hard to say they've created depth when, you know, this time next, or, first couple weeks of the season next year, St. Charles probably in Double A again. Zach Neto's probably in Double A again. Jordan Adams is probably in Double A again. Levon Soto, maybe he
Triple
finds
A.
his way to Triple A, but
Jackson Triple A.
maybe
Bush
Jackson.
Bush Triple A working for a
I don't even know if you put
spot.
Bush in Triple A.
Still Seth in Triple A.
Bachman's gonna go back to Double A. So they're definitely,
Bachman Double A. Crow's
they
interesting.
like I said, it's not depth until they've proven something. They have a chance to start to obtain depth. They do. They need to get more pieces. They need to get better from the top down. So some of these guys that are in the big leagues can actually become depth, because some of these guys playing in the big leagues should not be on a big league roster. So yes, they are close to accumulating depth, but I'm not going to say that they have depth, because we still don't even know if Zach Neto is good enough to play every day in the bigs. We don't even know if Zach Neto is good enough to play, 2 or 3 times a week in the bigs. I'm sure he will be, but every prospect has that question mark around him, no matter how talented they are. I mean, Kalenic was the most talented prospect ever for forever, and now he can't hit a fastball. Like he can't hit my weight. He's hitting Andrew Velasquez's numbers. So it does happen. We've seen it before, and obviously Angel fans are going to be skeptical of the prospects because of the Brandon Woods, and you know you don't want to bring up Dallas McPherson, but he got injured, and that sucked for him. But he was on his way to being a good player. Casey Kochman probably didn't have the pop that you wanted him to have, and
Well, Mark Teixeira, man.
he did turn into Mark. He turned into Mark Teixeira for half a year, which was fantastic. But
which turned into
Mike Trout, yes, it's just fantastic. But so some of these guys, you've seen it a lot of times in baseball where everyone promotes these prospects to be the next thing. And when you're the 29th ranked farm system, or 20th ranked farm system, depending on who you ask, 27th. They're between 27 and 29, depending on which website you're on and who you're talking to and things like that. But when you have that kind of a farm system, it's very hard to be like, oh, we've got 5, 10 major leaguers in Double A, like for sure major leaguers. And that's no disrespect to anybody in Double A. That's no disrespect to anyone in the Angels organization. These guys could turn out to be way better than anyone thinks. Just like some of these top prospects could be way worse than anyone thinks. We really don't know. But that should not change the plans for the Angels this offseason, that you still need to get a shortstop. You still need to get another bat, probably 2 bats, a shortstop and another bat. You still need to get 2 or 3 pitchers. Probably, if you're doing things correctly, you're getting 2 pitchers if you're going to do a 5-man rotation. I personally don't think that'll work, so you need 3 pitchers, and then you're probably needing to get 2 minor league free agent type guys that could help be depth for the pitching rotation. I know you have Kai Bush. I know you have Sam Bachman and Chase Silseth, whatever it is, but you need guys that are used to being in a major league locker room for more than 2 weeks.
I don't disagree with you. I don't at
So,
all. But
so they're close. Don't get me wrong. They're close, but it's not as close as you want to make it out to, because we still have to see these guys perform.
that's fair. I give it to you. I will. But you have to like the way that this organization is doing stuff in the minors.
I like that they're winning. I think that's a big deal. I think that's not talked about enough. You look at some of these really good teams and you see what happens in their minor league systems, that they win. And winning breeds more winning. And a winning attitude just continues on. as you continue to move up and move up until you get to the big leagues, and you just aren't satisfied with being just good enough. You're satisfied with winning. You're not satisfied with, oh, I played a good game, but we didn't win. That's not good enough. And so I love the fact that they are winning baseball games in the minor leagues. I love the fact that the Trash Pandas will be the first playoff team in a long time for the Angels. I think it's very, very important for the growth of this franchise. So that is probably the biggest thing this whole season has come out, is that the Angels have a playoff team somewhere. And yes, it's in the minor leagues, but you look at, Tampa Bay is always
In a
in
while.
the playoffs. The Dodgers are always in the minor league playoffs. The Cardinals are always in the minor league playoffs. You look at these really well-run organizations, their teams are always in the minor league playoffs. Whether it's single A, double A, triple A, one of those teams is in the minor league playoffs. And that is absolutely important for growth, because these guys, if you're okay with going, 25 and 40 or whatever they're going, in a half, because some of these leagues are going by halves. And you end the season, we missed the playoffs by 8 games, but it's okay. We didn't play a playoff game, but I had a pretty good year. Like, that's going to be the attitude they continue with. Like, yeah, everyone wants to win, but I mean, I get paid to put up good numbers. I don't get paid to win. So that's what's going to be the attitude is, hey, I put up good numbers. I'm on my way to getting paid, not, man, I just want a World Series ring, or I just want to taste a playoff game, a playoff win, whatever it is. So I think that the Trash Pandas being in the playoffs is the most important thing of the entire season.
Absolutely. Yep. First time since I'd have to go back and check 2016, 2017, since an Angels organizational team, minor league team, has made to the playoffs. So I think Tampa swept throughout the org last year. I think they won championships at every single level. We talked to you about that, Kenny Rosenberg. That was the biggest question I think we asked him, was about the winning mentality there. And you bring up the Dodgers. The Dodgers have the best record in AAA. Weird how that works, right? Good depth. It works. So
Cardinals are always in the playoffs too, and the Cardinals are in the minor league World Series. Like, it feels like every year with one of their orgs, and you look at the depth that they have. Like, even their depth that you're not even that excited about. It's like, oh well, 4 guys have gone down. Nolan Gorman's a top prospect. Somebody got hurt, and they got Donovan coming up, and that guy goes off. Or they get Lars Nootbaar up, who's fantastic right now. He's playing out of his mind, which is unbelievable. But he comes up, huh?
Said, yeah, it is. Love the name.
And former teammate, so I had to bring him up. But he's playing out of his mind right now. And like, you just look at the depth that these teams have, where it's like, oh, we'll just call up this kid. We'll just call up this kid. And they just perform. And they're just so used to winning that they get into a clubhouse where it's like, hey, Brewers and Cardinals are fighting for a division right now. And these guys are just like so used to being in a competitive environment, fighting for a playoff spot, fighting for a championship. So it is absolutely huge for these guys.
Winning is infectious. So I think we'll end this one here today. I just want to thank you all for listening to another fantastic episode of Talking Halos. If you could subscribe wherever you are listening or watching. Of course, go ahead and there's the hat for you guys. Go check it out on Official League if you like it. Let them know I sent you. I don't get anything for it, but yeah, they sent it to me and it's super cool. So I'm gonna keep wearing it. If you could go ahead, follow us on all of our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can follow myself on Twitter, Jared_Tims, Nate on Twitter, NateGreen34. And guys, thank you so much for listening and have a great rest of your day.